Everyone wants to win, but almost no one wants to lose. Losing feels like failure, like humiliation, like a stamp on your forehead that says you are not good enough. But what if I told you that losing now is better than winning later? What if I told you that the losses you are experiencing today may be the very reason you achieve something far greater tomorrow? That the sting of defeat, as painful as it feels right now, might actually be the single most valuable teacher you will ever have in your life. Think about it. When you win too early, you trick yourself into thinking you are ready when you are not. Winning gives you comfort. It makes you feel accomplished. It makes you relax. But losing strips you bare. Losing exposes your weaknesses. Losing makes you confront the ugly truth that you are not as good as you thought you were. And as harsh as that feels, that is where real growth begins. Losing now means you are in the process of learning. Losing now means you are discovering where you are weak and where you need to get stronger. Losing now means you are being prepared for the kind of victory that does not just feel good in the moment, but lasts a lifetime. Because temporary wins can fool you, but losses never lie. Losses show you exactly where you stand. And if you are brave enough to face them, they point you directly toward your path of growth. But most people run from losing. They treat every defeat as a final verdict instead of a first draft. They let it define them instead of refine them. They take the pain of losing and use it as proof that they should quit. And because of that, they never understand the truth. Losing now is better than winning later, because losing now gives you time to adjust, time to grow, time to build a foundation strong enough to carry the weight of real success. Imagine an athlete who wins their very first match without breaking a sweat. They feel unstoppable. They feel like they have arrived. But when they finally face a real challenge, they crumble, because they never learned how to suffer, how to endure, how to fight back from failure. Contrast that with an athlete who loses again and again at the start. Each loss teaches them something new. Each defeat hardens their mindset, strengthens their body, sharpens their skill. By the time they finally win, their victory is unshakable, because it is not built on luck. It is built on lessons. Life works the same way. The earlier you lose, the sooner you learn. And the sooner you learn, the stronger you become. Losing now spares you from greater disasters later. Because imagine winning big when you are not ready. Imagine getting that promotion before you know how to handle pressure. Imagine getting wealth before you know how to manage it. Imagine getting recognition before you know how to carry yourself. Winning too early can destroy you, but losing now equips you with the humility, the discipline, and the resilience to handle victory when it finally comes. Loss is not punishment. Loss is preparation. Every setback is a lesson in disguise, teaching you something that success could never teach you. Success whispers, but failure shouts. Success comforts, but failure strengthens. Success can fool you, but failure tells you the truth. That is why losing now is better. It gives you the map before you climb the mountain. It forces you to build the strength you will one day need when the stakes are far higher. Look at the most successful people in history. Almost all of them lost before they won. They failed businesses, failed relationships, failed careers. They were laughed at, rejected, doubted, but they used those losses as fuel. They studied them, learned from them, grew because of them. By the time they finally won, they were ready to protect it, ready to expand it, ready to multiply it. Their early losses became the reason their later victories lasted. The problem is, most people cannot handle the pain of losing. They give up too soon. They tell themselves it is not worth it. They compare themselves to others who seem to be winning and convince themselves they are falling behind. But what if losing now is exactly what puts you ahead later? What if the person winning now is peaking too early, while you are still sharpening your edge? What if the loss you are facing today is the very reason your win tomorrow will be unstoppable? Think about a tree. If it grows too quickly, without deep roots, the first storm will rip it out of the ground. But if the tree spends years struggling, digging its roots deeper through droughts and storms, by the time it grows tall, nothing can move it. That is you. Your losses are your roots. They are painful. They are invisible. But they are the very reason you will stand tall later. Winning too early makes you fragile. Losing now makes you unshakable. So the next time you lose, do not curse it. Study it. Respect it. Understand that this pain is a gift. It is saving you from the illusion of easy wins and forcing you to build the strength for real ones. Losing now is better than winning later, because it is not about where you are today. It is about who you are becoming. Losing now forces you to confront yourself in ways winning never could. When you lose, there are no excuses that can hide the truth. You are forced to look in the mirror and see the cracks, the weaknesses, the flaws you have been ignoring. It is uncomfortable, sometimes even humiliating, but it is also necessary. Without that confrontation, you would never change. Winning might inflate your ego, but losing reshapes your character. And in the long run, character always outlasts ego. Think about the first time you failed at something that mattered to you. Maybe it was a test, a game, a business idea, or even a relationship. At the time, it felt like the end. You felt crushed, embarrassed, maybe even hopeless. But now, looking back, you realize it taught you more than any victory ever could. That failure forced you to think differently, to act differently, to become different. That loss planted the seed of growth, even if you could not see it in the moment. The truth is, losses sting more than wins satisfy. A victory might make you happy for a day, maybe a week, but a loss burns in your memory for years. That burn is powerful if you know how to use it. It drives you back to the drawing board. It keeps you awake at night, asking questions, searching for answers, planning how to come back stronger. Losing builds hunger. Winning too early kills it. Hunger is the fuel of greatness, and nothing feeds hunger like the taste of defeat. And here is where most people get it wrong. They see losing as a sign to stop, but losing is really a sign to prepare. Every defeat is a message. You are not ready yet, but you can be. If you are willing to listen, if you are willing to learn, that loss becomes a stepping stone. If you ignore it, if you run from it, it becomes a wall that blocks your future. The difference is not in the loss itself. It is in what you decide to do after it. There is another reason why losing now is better. Early losses are cheap compared to late ones. Losing small battles today saves you from losing big wars tomorrow. Think about it like this. Failing at a small project now teaches you lessons that could prevent you from failing at $1 million business later. Losing a small competition today can prepare you for the championship that will define your career. Early losses are investments, painful investments, yes, but ones that compound into wisdom, resilience, and preparation. Winning too soon may cost you everything later, but losing now buys you insurance for the future. Life has a way of testing you. It will give you small defeats to see how badly you want it. It will ask, are you willing to keep going even when it hurts? If the answer is yes, if you push through, then life eventually rewards you. But if you give up at the first sign of pain, if you treat losing as the end, then you prove you were never ready to handle the weight of real success anyway. And here is the mental shift you need to make. Stop asking, why did I lose? And start asking, what did this loss teach me? Because every loss has a lesson. Sometimes the lesson is about discipline. Sometimes it is about patience. Sometimes it is about strategy, mindset, or humility. If you collect these lessons, if you build them brick by brick, one day you will look back and realize that your losses were not wasted. They were the foundation of your victory. Look at the stories of the greatest innovators, athletes, leaders, and creators. Nearly every one of them lost before they won. They lost money, lost time, lost faith, lost support. They were told no. They were rejected. They were doubted. But those losses sharpened them. They learned persistence. They learned resourcefulness. They learned how to keep moving when the whole world said stop. By the time they finally won, they were unshakable. The world only saw the victory, but they knew the truth, that it was the years of losing that made the victory possible. So when you lose now, do not despair. Do not compare yourself to those who are winning around you. Their story is not your story. Sometimes winning too early is the worst thing that can happen to a person, because it makes them arrogant, careless, and blind to their weaknesses. But losing now keeps you sharp, keeps you humble, keeps you hungry. That hunger is your advantage. That hunger is the reason you will last longer, climb higher, and stay stronger when your time finally comes. Losing now is not the opposite of winning. It is the preparation for it. Every loss you take is a rehearsal for victory. Every failure is a lesson disguised as pain. Every setback is training for the comeback. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you will stop fearing loss and start using it as fuel. Losing now is a blessing disguised as pain, because it shows you who you really are. Anyone can smile when they are winning, but losing strips away the mask. It exposes your patience, your discipline, your resilience. It reveals whether you are someone who folds under pressure or someone who fights until the very end. You cannot fake who you are when you lose. That raw truth hurts, but it is also priceless, because it gives you the chance to change before it is too late. The danger of winning too early is that it hides your flaws. It gives you a false sense of security. You think you are better than you are, so you stop improving. You relax. You let your guard down. Then when life throws a real challenge at you, you collapse, because you never built the strength to handle it. That is why so many people who taste quick success disappear just as quickly. They were never forged in failure. They were never strengthened by loss. They peaked too soon. But losing now forces you to build from the ground up. It teaches you patience. It teaches you that results do not come overnight. It teaches you how to keep showing up when nobody is clapping, when nobody is watching, when nobody believes in you. That is the training ground of real winners. That is where persistence is born. Because if you can keep going through the pain of losing, nothing will stop you when your moment finally comes. Think of it like climbing a mountain. If you somehow flew straight to the top, you might feel victorious for a moment. But without the climb, without the struggle, without the pain of every step, you would not be strong enough to survive at the peak. The air is thin at the top. The pressure is heavy. Only those who trained their lungs, their legs, and their spirit on the way up can stand there and breathe. Losing is that climb. Winning without losing is like standing on a peak you cannot survive on. The truth is, most people do not lose once. They lose again and again. They fail, they fall, they stumble, they repeat the same mistakes. And at first, it feels endless, like you are trapped in a cycle that will never end. But every loss, even the repeated ones, are carving you into someone different. Every defeat leaves a mark. Every setback builds a layer of toughness. You do not notice it at first, but little by little, you are being rebuilt into someone who can handle more, endure more, achieve more. The person who finally wins is not the same person who started. The transformation is the real reward of losing. And here is something most people never realize. Losing now buys you time to fail cheaply. When the stakes are small, the lessons are big. You can afford to make mistakes when nobody is watching. when the money is small, when the consequences are limited. But if you avoid losing early and somehow skip straight to the big stage, every mistake is magnified, every failure is costly, every slip can destroy everything. Losing now protects you from collapse later. It gives you scars that prepare you for the battles that actually matter. Losing also teaches you humility, and humility is a secret weapon. When you lose, you are reminded that you are not invincible, not untouchable, not above the grind. It keeps your feet on the ground, your ego in check, your hunger alive. Humility makes you teachable. It keeps you listening, learning, adjusting. Arrogance closes doors, but humility opens them. And humility almost always comes from loss. Without it, success becomes poison. With it, success becomes sustainable. Think about how many times in your life you thought something was the end, only to later realize it was just the beginning of something bigger. That heartbreak that broke you taught you how to love better. That job you lost pushed you toward the career you were actually meant for. That failure that crushed you turned into the lesson that defined your future success. Losing now feels final, but it is never final unless you quit. It is always a seed, planted in pain, waiting to grow into something greater. Here is the mental slap. Stop fearing loss. Stop avoiding failure. Stop treating defeat like a curse. It is not a curse. It is a course. It is your training, your preparation, your sharpening. Losing now is not a step backward. It is a step deeper, a step that roots you, strengthens you, prepares you. And when the time comes, when the world finally sees you win, they will not realize how many times you lost to get there. But you will, and that is what will make your victory unshakable. That is why losing now is better than winning later, because losses are the forge, and you are the metal. Every defeat is fire. Every failure is a hammer. Every rejection is pressure. And when the process is complete, you will not just win, you will be unbreakable.